The Nexus quantum computer had analyzed 17 trillion species across 42 galaxies. It had decoded the genetic mysteries of beings that existed in 11 dimensions, creatures that breathed dark matter, and empires that had conquered entropy itself. Nothing had ever made it pause. Until Lana walked into the laboratory. She was nobody special, or so everyone thought. A 23-year-old xenobiology student from Earth's outer colonies. Lana had volunteered for the Galactic Concordance's routine genetic census. Her brown hair was tied in a messy bun, and she wore the standard-issue white medical gown that all volunteers received. She looked tired, probably from the hyperspace jump that had brought her to Station Kepler 9. "Just place your hand on the scanner," Edward said, adjusting his lab coat. He was the lead geneticist on the station, a human who had earned his position through decades of work among the stars. His gray eyes held the weariness of someone who had seen too many miracles become mundane. Lana pressed her palm against the cool surface of the quantum scanner. The machine hummed to life, its processors capable of analyzing DNA at the subatomic level, tracing genetic lineages back through billions of years of evolution. Edward expected the usual readout. Base human genome, a few interesting mutations, perhaps some unique adaptations from growing up on a low-gravity moon. The Nexus would compile the data, add it to the galactic database, and Lana would receive her citizenship clearance. Instead, the Nexus froze. Every holographic display in the laboratory flickered. The quantum processors, machines that operated across multiple dimensions simultaneously, went silent. The usual hum of computational activity died away, replaced by an eerie stillness. "That's not normal," Edward muttered, his fingers flying across the control panel. Nothing responded. The Nexus, a machine that had never experienced downtime in its 3-century operational history, was completely unresponsive. Then, slowly, a single line of text materialized in the air above the scanner. Written in the ancient script of the precursors, the vanished race that had seeded technology throughout the galaxy millions of years ago. Primordial line detected, all access open. Edward's blood ran cold. He had studied precursor artifacts his entire career, but he had never seen this protocol activated. According to legend, the precursors had locked away their most dangerous secrets behind genetic keys. DNA sequences so specific, so ancient, that they could only belong to one lineage. The first lineage. The origin code. "What's happening?" Lana asked, pulling her hand back from the scanner. "Did I break it?" Before Edward could answer, every system on Station Kepler 9 activated simultaneously. Doors that had been sealed for centuries opened. Archives marked as classified beyond galactic security clearance became accessible. And deep in the station's core, something began to wake. The other scientists rushed into the laboratory, their faces pale with shock. Dr. Vexthor, a crystalline being from the Andromeda cloud, spoke in harmonic frequencies that the translator rendered as, "The vault of eternity is opening." "How is this possible?" Edward stared at Lana, who looked increasingly confused and frightened. "Your DNA," he said slowly, "isn't just human. It contains a genetic sequence that predates humanity, that predates Earth itself. You're carrying the precursor prime code." "That's impossible," Lana whispered. I'm nobody. My parents were colonists. We're not special." But the evidence was undeniable. As the Nexus slowly rebooted, data flooded the screens. Lana's genetic code contained markers that were 4 billion years old, older than Earth's oldest fossils. Somehow, impossibly, the precursors had embedded their genetic legacy into the human species, waiting for it to resurface, and it had resurfaced in her. "The Concordance will want her," Dr. Vexthor said, their crystalline form refracting the laboratory lights. "Every empire in the galaxy will want her. The access codes in her DNA could unlock precursor weapons, technology beyond imagination, secrets that could reshape reality itself." Edward looked at Lana's terrified face and made a decision. He had spent his life serving the galactic community, following protocols, being a good citizen of the Concordance. But he was also human, and humans had a stubborn streak when it came to protecting their own. "No," he said firmly. "She's not a key. She's a person." He began typing rapidly, initiating emergency lockdown protocols. "Lana, listen to me. In about 30 seconds, this station is going to flood with security forces. Diplomats and probably a few species willing to start a war to control you. We need to leave now. Leave where? Anywhere but here. Edward grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the emergency transport bay. Behind them, alarms began to wail. The Nexus, having fully rebooted, was now broadcasting Luna's genetic signature across the quantum network, a signal that would reach every corner of known space within minutes. As they ran through the corridors, Luna's mind raced. She had always felt different, always sensed that something about her existence was strange. Her dreams had been filled with visions of ancient cities, technologies she shouldn't understand, languages that predated human civilization. Now she knew why. She wasn't just carrying the precursor genetic code. In some way, she didn't yet understand she was the precursor code. 4 billion years of cosmic evolution had been leading to this moment, to her. Edward sealed the door behind them and activated the emergency shuttle. As they launched from Station Kepler 9, Luna watched the station shrink behind them, already surrounded by incoming warships from a dozen different civilizations. "What now?" she asked. Edward set coordinates for the outer rim, places where the concordance's reach was weak. "Now we figure out what you are, what you can do, and how to keep you alive. Because, Luna, you're not nobody. You might be the most important human who has ever lived." "That's what I'm afraid of," she whispered. As they jumped to hyperspace, the Nexus continued its broadcast. Across the galaxy, ancient systems were awakening. Precursor artifacts that had been dormant for millions of years were coming online, all responding to the same signal. The primordial line had returned. And humanity, the young species that everyone had underestimated, had just become the most dangerous civilization in the galaxy, because they carried the keys to creation itself in their blood.